Good afternoon. All right. I promise we will keep you all on time who's going to the President's event. A couple of items for all of you this afternoon. Today, the President is meeting with business leaders and CEOs that have instituted vaccine requirements or are working to implement the new requirements. These leaders represent a diverse range of sectors from businesses large and small, including university systems, tourism, retail, tech, and healthcare. The President will highlight their leadership, putting into place strong COVID-19 requirements that help keep workers safe and that are already showing results with an increase in vaccinations. To provide a few examples, when Tyson Foods announced its requirement, only 45% of its workforce had gotten a shot. In less than a month, it increased to 72%. After United Airlines announced its vaccine requirement, the vaccine rate for employees went from 59% to 79% in less than a month. And in Washington State, the weekly vaccination rate jumped 34% after the governor announced requirements for state workers. This event will underscore these requirements will help sustain our economic recovery and level the playing field for businesses across the country. Also wanted to note that during this critical period of negotiations on the Build Back Better agenda, the Vice President will make her first trip to the Treasury Department since taking office to hold an event with Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and make the case for the Biden-Harris administration's proposed investments in childcare that will benefit women, children, and working families. They will announce the release of a major new Treasury Department report on the economics of childcare, and the report confirms childcare remains too expensive and out of reach, and that our childcare industry is in need of significant public investment to bring down the cost for working families. Last piece I wanted to note is today the families of more than 60 million children, nearly 90% of American kids, will receive the third monthly payment of the child tax credit. This is one of the most significant tax cuts for working families in history and is already helping Americans meet the cost of raising children, using this additional money to help pay for groceries, back to school clothes, braces, and so many other expenses. Most of the families will again see child CTC in their bank account today with a payment of $250 to $300 for each child. Studies have shown that it will boost consumer spending, jobs, and has already led to a major fall in hunger and child poverty. 97% of the children receiving this tax relief are in working families, and we have already seen reports of strong support for the tax cuts for families across the board, including from independents and 41% of those who identify as Republicans. And we're working, of course, to get it extended for even longer. Jonathan, why don't you kick us off?
Thanks, Jen. A new book reports that near the end of the Trump presidency, Chairman Milley had two conversations with his Chinese counterpart, promising the countries would not go to war and that he would give an early warning if something were to happen. In a statement just minutes ago, Chairman Milley did not dispute this account. On this, does the president feel that these calls were appropriate? Does he have confidence in the chairman? And some Republican senators have called for Chairman Milley to be dismissed. Is he going to keep his job?
Well, I saw the statement, of course, that the Department of Defense, or I should say the Joint Chiefs spokesperson, just released minutes ago. I'm not going to add more or speak to anonymous, unconfirmed reports about conversations with limited context from here. But what I can assure you all of is that the President knows General Milley. He has been chairman of the Joint Chiefs for almost 8 months of his presidency. They've worked side by side through a range of international events. And the president has complete confidence in his leadership, his patriotism, and his fidelity to our Constitution. Since you gave me the opportunity, I just wanted to add, I think it's important to consider some of the context, key context of this period in time in history that we're discussing and is outlined or covered in portions of this book. The outgoing president of the United States during this period of time fomented unrest, leading to an insurrection and an attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, which you all have covered extensively, of course. One of the darkest days in our nation's history. Beyond reports in this book, there's been widespread reporting and commentary from members of his own cabinet, the former president's cabinet, I should say, including high-ranking national security officials, questioning the former president's stability, his behavior, and his suitability to oversee the national security of the United States. So those are important questions that need to be discussed as well.
I want to follow up to this. Does the president believe that General Milley should testify before Congress about his actions during that time?
Look, I think the president has been clear with his administration and members of his cabinet and national security team that we will continue to work with Congress and cooperate with them as appropriate in meeting their needs. We've done that from the beginning of the administration. I would defer to the Department of Defense and the Joint Chiefs for further
Last thing, and then
decisions.
I'll hand off. If you could just give a comment on what seems to be an escalation of tensions between North and South Korea.
Sure. Well, I would first note that the State Department and Indo-PACOM have both put out statements as well that I would point you all to if you haven't seen them. I would note that in Indo-PACOM's statement, they said they, of course, are aware of the missile launch, as are we. They've also stated that they have assessed that this event does not pose an immediate threat to U.S. personnel or territory or to our allies. The missile launch highlights the destabilizing impact of the DPRK's illicit weapons program. So I would point you to those, note those. I don't think we have additional commentary from here at this point. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. Following up on Jonathan's questions here, does the president have any concerns that General Milley perhaps worked outside of the chain of command at all in this?
Again, I think why it was important for me to convey what I did is that the president has worked side by side with Chairman Milley for almost 8 months as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. His experience with him has been that he is a patriot. He is somebody who has fidelity to the Constitution, and he has confidence in his leadership and the role he has played in his experience with him. I can't speak to anonymous, unconfirmed reports about prior conversations during the last administration.
Last one on this. Former President Trump called these actions insubordinate and treasonous. Do you want to respond directly to that? And then I have one more off topic.
I don't think I have any further response to the former president, other than to reiterate the context of this moment in time, what everybody's talking about here, and what we're reporting on.